One team looking forward to the 2024 draft, while the other is in a prime spot to make the playoffs.
Join us as we break down this amazing primetime matchup where we will give you some in-depth analysis and some game scripting to help you create the best possible lineups in the shortest amount of time.
Welcome to DFS Insights. I'm David Geistlinger, and I'm joined by my cousin David Grant Jr. The teams up on the block are the New England Patriots at the Denver Broncos. But like we typically do, before we go ahead and start breaking down this upcoming game, let's go ahead and do a quick recap of those Thursday night football lineups. David?
Yeah. It looks like we provided our listeners with yet another winning lineup. However, no one took advantage of that free $200 by entering in the absolutely free tournament. So I highly recommend entering in your lineup to the free tournament so you can get that free cash grab.
Nice. I took advantage of it. I did not win. But
Yeah,
I took advantage of it for sure.
I did see you were close. I did see you were a little close up there for a while.
Hey, no participation trophies in. I guess maybe there is some in DFS, but I don't like them.
Yeah, I know. Right?
But as far as this matchup, as we stated, I'll go ahead and start it off. New England Patriots at Denver Broncos. Broncos coming in at 7-7. The Patriots are 3-11, which is surprising to a lot of people. I mean, at least me, anyways. I thought they'd be a little bit better. I had a little bit higher hopes for Mac Jones, but I don't know. I don't know what happened over there, especially with Belichick being who he is. So Denver's coming in at the favorites. They're touchdown favorite, so it's not really no joke there, which makes sense.
Do you have that game overview up there by chance?
Now I do.
Yeah, okay.
My bad.
Yeah, nice.
Sorry.
Yeah, nope, we good. We all good.
Apologize. So as I was stating up on the screen, so now everybody can see what I'm saying. So apologies for that. Denver's coming in. Last few games they've been pretty good. I believe they are actually coming off. They are coming off a loss to the Detroit. Pretty bad loss to Detroit. But they've been looking pretty good. At least they turned the corner to get them to where they're at now. And I think that's far because Russell Wilson seems to be connecting with one of his receivers, and we'll talk about that going forward. But they are running the ball pretty good. They have an okay running back. He seems to kind of have spurts and things like that, and their defense is kind of what's basically put on the backpack and said we got you, and kind of lack of better terminology of dragging them across the finish line. They're not there yet. They do pretty much have to win. If they don't win this game, they're basically out. Which in all reality they should win this game. So Patriots, I mean, if you've been watching football this season, I don't have really too much to say. What happened there, the quarterback situation, whether it's Jones or Zappi, I don't know if they know what's going on. Their one really gleam of hope, the running back, he's out, so I don't know really kind of what they're going to do if they're throwing in the towel. That's a possibility, because they have potential here for the first round pick. So who are we? Is this game going to just be potential people the tryout period basically in an NFL game kind of thing? Because Denver's obviously running their game plan. How do you see this? Do you kind of see it the same way, or do you think New England's going to play that spoiler?
We are down to these final, three games of the season now. So, I mean, this is when teams who are mathematically eliminated do tend to put in guys they do want to see. Hey, can we build some trading value? Can we,
Mm-hmm.
is it someone we want to keep? So that's definitely something to kind of keep, just be aware of. I don't know if, yeah, I don't know if Zappy's mom is going to come on like Zach Wilson's mom and say he's been concussed all year and just, giving it all he has. And then some other drama happens. I'm not sure, but the Broncos and Mr. Let's Ride, should come in and well, they're at home, but they should definitely get the job done here at home. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to I'm not going to say the greatest game, but because Denver does have something, still to play for, I'm excited to see the game. I just love watching sports, and I think with that we can already kind of jump over to the player analysis.
Yeah, let's. All right, jumping on over here. Make sure
kind of jump
make
over.
sure I had to change the screen. Make sure we're on schedule here.
on schedule. Start with the quarterbacks. Mr. Russell Wilson himself. I'm not gonna lie. Last year, man, when he made the video and he was wearing the all white, I don't know if you saw it, and he was at his house. Oh, if you haven't seen it, you got to look it up. It's epic. And I was like, he had just got his bag at 240, 250 million, and it was inspiring video of like, man, they're gonna come out and crush. And then he had like the worst season he's ever had, so it's quite embarrassing. But at least he did he did start off kind of meh, but he did really kind of start to come into his own that mid to late season stride. He went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of his 8 games he didn't throw any interceptions, and in one of them he threw 2 against Kansas City. But I mean, that's awesome, while still throwing touchdowns. His yardage has been a little bit concerning. Not many games even over 200 yards, at least as of late against Detroit. The pass attempts have been up. He hit 223 yards and 224. He's got 3 touchdowns and 1 interception, but then he also has that rushing touchdown. He does have a rushing fumble. It's at 15.5 though, definitely a guy I'm going to be playing. I'll be having him in my lineups for sure. Big game. Russ has won Super Bowls, so he's not I don't see this being too big of a game for him to where, Brandon Zappy, let's just say I'm not impressed. I mean, I don't know. I just don't know how you get in a game and have 13 completions on 25 pass attempts for 141 yards with no touchdowns, no interceptions. And like, what are you doing? Like, to have only 7 fantasy points is crazy. That's just wild to me. The one outlier performance was against Pittsburgh. He had 3 touchdowns and 1 interception and had 21 fantasy points. He is 13.5, but going up against the Broncos defense, I think that's going to be too much for him. I won't have much. I'll be making other choices than there. How do you see the quarterback comparison and kind of how you how much exposure you'll be having.
Yeah, so Bailey Zappi, a few things is, he's only had that one game over, 20 fantasy points against Pittsburgh, which was impressive. I think I want to say we covered that game because I was upset because I was like, where did this guy come from? Like, this isn't Zappy. Or Zap or whatever, Zappy. So, is he going to do that again? Every projection that I've looked and seen, indicates around like 11.5 fantasy points to him. To me, that's being generous. There, I mean, like he's averaging 5.48. I know that's a little skewed because he came into a game late. He's only played a few possessions in other games, so it is a little skewed. But yeah, 11. I mean, I can give him 11.5, but 11.5 fantasy points at 13.5. That's not going to do it for me, and that's a shaky 11.5.
And that's a ceiling game almost. I mean,
so moving on to Russell Wilson. Yeah, obviously he's the better QB of the slate. I don't think really any question about that. He hasn't had a game over 20 fantasy points since week 2, week 4, and that was against Chicago. He's projected 16.5. Even then, with a salary of 15.5, that's not that great. The quarterbacks on the slate aren't even projected over 20, which is insane. New England is, slightly, they do give up about 250 passing yards a game, which would be the 5th highest yardage of Russell's season here, and they're pretty decent against pass touchdowns, giving up about 1.2 over the last 9 games average. So about 1 a game. I don't know. Russell hasn't been doing that great. He did have those 3 interception game. He did have a fumble. He is prone to those turnovers. So I think against New England, I think he's maybe more on the safe side. But obviously I'm going to be, I'm going to play Russell Wilson more than Zappy. As far as how many lineups, I'll probably be, at field on him, at, the typical ownership, and then probably Zappy definitely probably under. Just how I have a few game scripts already kind of in my head, and Zappy would just mainly be part of one of the scripts, and that's like the tournament side of things. I don't think I'll even think about him in a single entry or a cash lineup. And then in the tournament play, I'm just hoping for that ceiling game of 20 points because I don't think he'll be high owned there. That's really all I have on the quarterbacks. Not too much. Nothing shocking and stands out in this game to me. So we can move over to the running backs, which are a little bit more exciting. So starting with New England, Ramondre Stevenson has been officially ruled out. So that obviously gives clear runway to Ezekiel Elliott. Here he seems to be doing okay. The last game he only got 11 touches. Doesn't look like he entered the end zone there. Pittsburgh, he did get a touchdown. So he's not doing that great, but he has had, he's gotten targeted, in the past game over 5 times the last 3 games. Let's see.
Does Kevin Harris count? I mean, at 6,000, I'm just trying to think. For New England going down, it's showing that he played against Kansas City and he had 4 touches, 25 yards, and
Oh
a
yeah, no,
rushing
I
touchdown.
haven't. Yeah, I haven't gotten down.
Oh, my
No, it's
bad,
all
my
good.
bad.
So yeah, just looking at Ezekiel Elliott, he's clearly, one of the obviously the RB1. I haven't really even looked at the RB2 because,
yeah,
he's honestly gonna be a play if I feel like. He did get. It looked like he got probably a goal line touch there, a carry. He might be, he might be getting more touches because if they're playing for a draft pick, hey, let's see what he has.
Exactly.
So that would be the play there. Moving over to Denver, Javonte Williams, I think, is the better running back on the slate. He did get a touchdown against the Chargers. That was 2 games ago. He didn't look too good against Detroit, but I think that was also a team effort of not looking good. I mean, like 42-17, Detroit kind of smoked them there. So obviously, it looked like they probably abandoned the run pretty early in that game. But dropping down when he played Kansas and Buffalo, he got over 20 touches. And, he's over 17 fantasy, 19 fantasy points. So, the touchdowns were both receiving. So he's clearly in the passing game. Unfortunately, the Patriots, surprisingly, are ranked pretty good against the run. 3rd, only allowing about 60 yards, which seems to kind of be his average anyways. And only giving up a little under 1 touchdown basically every 9 games. So, yeah, he's had 9 red zone rushes. Like I said, red zone does start at the 20 for everybody who didn't know, which you should know. He's only had 1 touchdown there. So, hopefully, I don't see this as a high-scoring game. Over-under sitting at 35.5. So yeah, running backs. I'll definitely have him in the field, if not over, on my lineups, just because I think it's just going to be one of those kind of drag out games.
Yeah.
Pairing is a good play. 9K is a little high for my taste. He does have, touchdown upside, but I mean, one in 15 games isn't all that good, but he does have targets and things of that nature. So at 9K, I would obviously like to see him cheaper because then I think he'd be more viable. But at 9K, it'd be kind of hard to play him for me, anyways, unless you script where the game kind of gets out of hand. Broncos, go in, Patriots, and just annihilate him. Perrin will get more snaps for sure, but that's what I got for the running backs. Nothing too, but definitely I think if you chose obviously Elliott and Williams, and I'll be higher owned on Williams for sure.
Nice, yeah. Yeah, it's a tough one, as you mentioned. I do think Williams is obviously the clear RB1, especially in a must-win game. I could actually see him getting a couple extra carries, being out on the field for a couple extra snaps, that type of scenario, because again, you need your best guys on the field to win the game. So, where the real big pivot comes from, I think a lot of people, I think Zeke Elliott for New England is going to be over-owned, and then at 12.5, and I just like you mentioned, honestly, man, I see like a Harris, I see someone like Harris getting maybe 8 snaps, maybe 2 targets or something. Clearly, he got a had to have been in the red zone. I mean, 4 attempts, 25 yards, and a rushing touchdown. Man, and at 6,000, taking that, playing chess, not checkers. I could see Zeke. Zeke's also old. Just everything points to. I know he is RB1, but not not getting the RB1 touches. Kind of like when you start in the NBA, there's certain starters. Yeah, you're starter by name, but you play 17 minutes. You play 16 minutes, and then the other guy's playing the 32 minutes, the 35 minutes, and it's important not to get caught up in that. So, I'll have a little exposure to Zeke, don't get me wrong, but I will be overexposed to Harris for sure. Um, and then Perrine, I've liked Perrine all year. I guess it's because I'm biased that the 2 games he did do really, well for him. When he scored the 10 fantasy points and the 13. I had him in my lineups. It actually helped push quite a bit of them into the money. Obviously, since then, he hasn't done much. So I'll be, I got to take my bias out of it for sure. They're going to be playing to win, and unless something happens to Williams, I see some of the top tier guys getting a couple extra snaps, a couple extra plays, and those are my thoughts on the running backs. So I'd say, with Zeke, obviously have him in if you're making 10 lineups, have him in. I mean, if I'm being honest, 2 or 3. Kind of mix it up. But yeah, I think that kind of covers the running backs. We can kind of hop over to the wide receivers. This is definitely where we got some selection, at least, which should be interesting in what I think is going to be a low scoring game, and a little more run dominant, just because it's just been weird. New England has held teams to lower scores, so it's been an awkward year with that. But obviously we got Sutton as pretty much the number 1 receiver on the slate. Let me make sure let me go by salary here. I was looking up some stuff by a couple other things. So we got Sutton at 15K. He's definitely get him in your lineups, especially if you got Russell Wilson in there. To be honest, even with a Russell Wilson fade and having a Sutton and then even maybe a Judy or some other one in there where Russell spreads it around and he gets 2 touchdowns or something, I could see something like that where, or both touchdowns go to Sutton. So therefore he's going to have, higher fantasy points than Wilson if you put Sutton at the MVP. So kind of a way to mix it up. Obviously, if you try to get Sutton and Wilson in, that's already half your salary. So could be tough to do, but there is some guys down there in that 6K range that are viable. Trying to keep it moving, Jerry Jeudy. My only issue with him is not finding the red zone. I mean, you haven't found the red zone since, Halloween. I mean, that's all year. I mean, come on, bro. Like, what's up? And then he doesn't have a single game over 100 yards. So, yeah, he has some targets, but I mean, dude, 3 for 7 against Detroit, two 2 receptions on 6 targets against the Chargers. I mean, 2 for 6 against Kansas City. I don't know. I might be looking elsewhere, to be honest, over
Yeah, but I would have to
Judy.
double check those
You're gonna,
passes because is it his fault
you
or
know,
was it Russell Wilson's fault?
or, for sure. No, that fair. Always do the full circle of research. Make sure that and like even Russell Wilson's tackle wasn't missing, and where he was getting sacked a bunch because he was out, like a Trent Williams with the Niners. So the Niners are always hurrying when we're missing Trent Williams. You always want to know the why behind it. Let's see here. Juju Smith is out, so that's definitely huge. That's quite a bit of targets that are going to become available to some other players, which again I think is going to lead towards. I don't really see them throwing the ball a lot, but this could even be a game where they tell Zappy, "Hey, dude, air it out, man. Let's see what some of our receivers have." Like, every they're a dumpster fire. So it's just real tough to pinpoint what they're going to be doing. We got Demario Douglas. Um, he's he's at least catching the ball more than less. 3 for 5, 6 for 9, 6 for 9, 5 for 7, 5 for 7. Again, no touchdowns. That's rough, man. Especially at 10K. I find this. I'm going to be leaving some money on the table, I think, on this slate. And if not, it's going to be because I'll have Wilson Sutton teamed up, and I can easily use that other 30K and still have money on the table with a couple ideas that I have. So, going down to Devontae Parker. Let's see. Again, unfortunately, no touchdowns on the season. No games, barely over 50 yards. I mean, he is getting the targets. He does catch the ball as of late, as of the last 5 games. With Juju out, that might go up a little bit. The tight end Henry was the guy starting to get that spike. 7 for 9. He had a touchdown last game against the Chiefs, against Pittsburgh, 3 for 3, 2 touchdowns. A touchdown against Washington where he went 4 catches for 6. And then to start the year off, 5 for 6 against Philly, 6 for 7 against Miami. And then again, 56 yards, 52 yards, and had a touchdown in both games. He's clearly the red zone guy. I don't know if he's going to be in. I really hope he is. He probably, short week, probably won't be. I know he's a tight end. I had to throw him in there because of that. That's just where the touchdowns are going. I'll kind of just stop there. That way you can hit some of the other lower ones, since I kind of hit the top part. But what are your thoughts on some of the receivers and everything going on here?
Yeah, kind of starting, going back up towards the top. Sutton, I think he's obviously his at least his salary is at least deserving 15K. The last 4 out of 5, he's gone 10 fantasy points, technically 3 out of 5, 9.6, basically 10. And then the last 9 out of 10 games, or if you want to get technical, 9.9 and 9.6. But he's getting at least 10 fantasy points at least in the last 9 out of 10 games. So that's good value there. Him and Russ seems to be having a connection. I mean, even here, 7 targets, 2 catches, but those 2 catches netted him 77 yards and a touchdown. So he's definitely, I'm going to have him definitely probably be the main receiver that I'm going to be focused on for sure. Jerry Jeudy, if New England, did what they should and put a lot of pressure on Sutton, Jeudy would be open and be a little bit more viable. It's just, I don't know, him and just Russ maybe aren't vibing, nearly as much. He hasn't had over 10 fantasy points since week 2. Week 8 against Kansas City. That slipped by me. So it's been since basically Halloween, like you said. Jerry Jeudy's been viable, so maybe he's rested now. Going down, the only other one really is Marvin Mims would be the wide receiver 3 at 6,500. He gets a few targets here and there. He's kind of your touchdown or bust person, but he's not getting really too many. He's not getting really the red zone. Lyndon Jordan Humphrey ended up with a touchdown last game. He does get less snaps though than Mims, so keep that in mind. Both of them are basically your touchdown or bust. At 6,500 though, that's great tournament play, especially if Broncos get a lead up, they could be seeing a little bit more snap count. Going over to New England, Juju Smith. I was looking at him. He just, I guess, got put to out. So that's kind of huge. Huge for New England. Not really huge, as a wide receiver. But to be honest, Demario Douglas, even with the incredible numbers that he has, he's probably the best value play for New England, or at least the most reliable of them. Like you said, it's nothing impressive. 2 fumbles for a receiver, that's rough. Especially against the Giants. So if you feel like, obviously if you're going Zappy, to do that contrarian play, you got to pair him with somebody. And then obviously we'll talk about the tight end. You can always pair him with him. But if you're going with the receiver, Douglas for sure. Devontae Parker, like everybody knows the name, but it doesn't. It seems like people are quickly forgetting it. Now that he's in New England, so he seems to be the shorthand thing. Short hands at least on the team, but still can't break 10 fantasy points all year. And I'm not trying to put down the receivers, because that's obviously, they can only do with what, who's throwing it to them. And Mac Jones is not having, nearly the season he had before, and Zappy is not nearly that good of a quarterback to write home about or whatever. I guess the 2 value picks here, Rager, moving down here, Jalen Rager at 5,500. He has been getting basically the snaps since Juju is also out the last 2 games. So he's been getting more of the snaps. So think of him, obviously, he's going to be in there. Mind you, he's getting the snaps, but production is not there. The only other person really, he gets less snaps than Rager would be Tyquan Thornton. Why he's at 7,500 is beyond me. 1 catch, 5 yards. Yeah, like I said, most of these guys, like with the exception of 2 wide receivers, everybody else seems to kind of be touchdown or bust, which is crazy to even consider on a slate, but and in a primetime slate. And it just seems like, because obviously we cover only primetime, the Thursday night, Sunday night, it seems like we've gotten so many of these matchups. It's incredible. I would be like, if I was Amazon, asking for some refund back
Yeah.
And then if I was obviously, the major network was the ABC that does the Sunday night, I'd be like, what do you flex somebody? Like, I mean, you have, I was going to say you flex the 49ers, Baltimore, but that's Monday night's game. You don't really want to do that, but pick somebody, anybody, literally anybody.
Yeah.
There's 26 teams
man.
still viable right now for the playoffs. Flex somebody.
And they've been bragging about how they have new like AI computer generated schedules to make sure we get the best football. And like, wow.
Well, we don't have to worry about computers taking over then anytime soon.
I know, for sure.
So with that side note, we'll move over here to the tight ends. Probably the second best pass catcher on the slate, Hunter Henry for the New England. It just seems like, he just like basically every other tight end, safety blanket for the quarterback, and he seems to be that way at least the last two games for Zappy here. Pittsburgh, he only had 3 catches, but 2 of them were for touchdowns, and Kansas City, he had 7 catches with the touchdown. So yeah, I definitely gonna be playing him. Where Denver is incredibly weak against the tight end for their defense. They're second to the last. They allow about a touchdown per game and about 70 plus yards to tight ends. So he is a viable play for sure. With that, he will be heavily owned, and I will probably meet that demand and even say, hold my beer, I'm going higher. On that, moving over to Troutman, I've noticed his name at least being called a few times in the last week. It looks like 2 touchdowns over the last 4 games, but his targets are also down. But these quarterbacks, they don't really throw a lot. Russell Wilson, like you said, he's like 3 games over 200 yards. So it's like this slate is like a touchdown or bust. Like, you're not really going to be counting yards and receptions. Yes, they're going to obviously help, but it's Mike Jasicki. He was, great. I guess, one point. I believe he was with the Dolphins, if I'm not mistaken. That's where I remember seeing his name quite a bit, but it doesn't seem to be a factor. Obviously, he's second to Hunter Henry, so yeah, I don't really see any other viable tight end, at least for this slate. So Hunter Henry, and then for sure heavy on him, and then Troutman I'll definitely have sprinkled in.
Yeah, I am right there with you with that. I'm just really hoping Hunter Henry plays. I think it's kind of, it did say he geared up for practice, and, part of me does say, I know New England's having the worst season they've had in quite a while. They aren't the type of guys to just give it up and whatnot, but at the same, I hate talking out of both sides of my mouth to where it's like, hey, we're going to see some of these other guys get chances, but that's just the smart thing to do as a football owner and as a GM, to know, hey, are these guys that we want to keep, or are these guys or make shine for a trade? There's just all these other decisions to now be made now that they're not in the normal playoff chase. So, but at the same time, you do want to put a good product on the field. You do want to win the game. Hey, those players, regardless, whoever's out there wants to win the game. We both know that. So I hope Henry wants to play. I hope he's able to play. If he does, I'll be over the field on him for sure. And yeah, other than that, I'll have a little bit of Troutman, and then just in case, I think I might throw in some Mike Getsky. If Troutman's in any way like he's gonna give it a go, we're not fully sure what's up. I'll definitely have some Getsky just in case, or Gesicki. Um, I was trying to see if there was even like deeper ones. Yeah, it'll be interesting, Just watch the news, as I always preach. News, 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 news. This is, when you do daily fantasy, you've got to watch the news. It's the most important thing, especially FanDuel used to not do late swap. That used to be only a DraftKings thing. Now FanDuel does late swap. Um, it's just important to keep your eye on that. It does make a difference. And yeah, I'll go ahead and, leave that off there with the tight ends. I believe that brings us over to our favorite kickers in defense.
For this slate, for sure.
I know, right? Oh yeah, for sure. So the Broncos defense, I love the fact that they're coming off a Detroit scored 42 on them, had 2 sacks, no interceptions, no fumble recoveries, no defensive return for a touchdown. It was just the high score, and that -2, the game log trolls are going to be all over that. But, going up against the Chargers, they put up 14. Going up against Cleveland, they put up 16. Going up against Kansas City down here, 17. So they're going up against a freaking terrible offense. But this could be the worst offense the Patriots looked all year, and they're going into Denver. So I'll be overexposed to Denver's defense. I will have them in at the MVP spot in a couple lineups for sure. I will not have access to the Patriots defense. I just can't do it. It's too big of a game for Denver. The Patriots haven't shown all year that they can do anything. I mean, if they were 6,000 maybe, or 5,000, but not at 8,500. So I will have 0. Now, I'm not telling you that that's the way to go. If you're making 10 lineups, have 0. If you're making 100 lineups, maybe put in 1. And then as far as the kickers go, this game could I'd be interesting to see the weather in Denver. Is Denver? I don't believe.
No, it's not.
Denver's,
no, Denver's open, and I think it just said overcast clouds.
Okay.
Now, mind you, that's if we take what the weather people say as fact.
And
I will never do that. So
yeah,
it's literally the
sure.
only job you can have and be wrong your entire career and still keep a job.
So the one thing about Denver, like with baseball, the Colorado Rockies, they are the one place, because the air's so thin, the ball travels out of the field and people hit the most home runs in, at the Rockies. And so this ball can definitely travel for field goals. I wouldn't be surprised looking at here. His attempts at home aren't as high, which is crazy for Lutz. Lutz is a beast. Let's see. He went 4 for 4 against Green Bay, 2 for 2 against the Jets, 5 for 5 against Minnesota, 2 for 2 against Cleveland. Those are all home games. Washington 2 for 2. Vegas, his first game of the season, 1 for 2. So other than that, he has been perfect at home for field goals all year long. As far as extra points go, let's see, looking pretty good, at Vegas. Man, this dude missed an extra point also. Again, first game of the season, I'll let that slide. But then 3 for 3, 1 for 1, 1 for 1, 3 for 3. Okay, that's at Buffalo. Yeah, so at home, he's a much better kicker at home. So that's what's up. Definitely have some access to Lutz. And some of the points that New England score might only be field goals. We got Chad Ryland, it looks like, and I just don't know. He is 8,500. I'll have a little access to him just because it's just smart. What are your thoughts on the defense and the kickers?
I'll sway your opinion on this Ryland. I will not have this dude.
Yeah.
So you can see he's 2 for 1 or 1 for 2 against Kansas City. He's 0 for 1 against the Giants, and he's 2 for 3 in Indiana. So I was like, what did he do? Did he miss a 50-yard field goal? Is this what? Okay, if he misses 45 plus, I'll give him a pass because those are hard field goals. No. Dude missed a 41-yard field goal in Kansas City, a 35-yard field goal in the Giants, and a 35-yard field goal against Indiana. Dude will not be in my lineup. Maybe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I will not have him. I can literally play almost any other player for less salary that will get me above 3 fantasy points.
We're talking about Chad Ryland right now,
yes,
correct?
Correct. Chad Ryland.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's made 65% of his field goal attempts.
Yeah.
Dude is.
Yeah.
Dude, if he was in college or grade school, he's passing but not advancing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So no, that's a hard pass for me. Like I said, what's he gonna do? Yeah. Maybe if he had a ceiling game, maybe. But no, I can literally play Hunter Henry for 500 less and be more comfortable there. Troutman for 1,000 less, be more comfortable there. Mims for 2,000 less. I have way more value lower. Can't do it. You said, Lutz, great field goal kicker, hasn't really missed literally 2 misses or 3 total misses between extra points and field goals all season. 93%. Yeah, you can kind of count him as money. Money there. Definitely probably a lower scoring game. Over-unders, like I said, 35.5. So I can see 2-3 field goals this game, few extra points. So, yeah, I'd say 2 field goals, maybe 2 extra points or so. Nothing spectacular, but I think it's going to be a low scoring. If Zappy's only projected 11.5 and Russell Wilson's projection is 16.5, that's 4 kicks from a kicker. Those are the points right there, and he'll be optimal, which is it's a rough game. Denver defense will definitely be viable. I'll have him, like you said, in the MVP as well. Especially since New England is averaging over an interception per game in the last 9 games. So the likelihood of them getting an interception is very high. The Broncos, like I said, have been pretty decent. They did get kind of smoked in Detroit, but I don't see New England putting up 42 points. Maybe 7 points. I can see the Chargers did here. So Denver will be viable. I will also have the Patriots defense. Since I think it's going to be a low scoring game, at least they're not going to get hit there. Denver does give up on average about 3 sacks per game. So they can make up some points there, and Russell Wilson is prone to, have those games where it's interception after interception. So there is some viability there. For 8,500, it'll vary. It would have to be definitely situational with what lineups I have and so I'll have to take that obviously into consideration there. So, with that, with everything we've gone over, this still will be a great game. Obviously, DFS is going to make it that much more exciting because I'll have something to cheer about at least, or yell about. It seems to be.
Yeah, I know, right?
Be upset about, but let's see who you're going to be rooting, cheering, yelling for here.
Yeah. So here's the lineup I got to put in here for the main slate. I'm sorry, the main tournament, the $9 one. I'm gonna go ahead and go Russell Wilson at MVP. He's got to rise and shine. It's make or break. It's do or die. I'm counting on him to show up. So I got him at MVP. I definitely could see a couple other game scripts where he is not the MVP, but more outcomes than not, I do think he will be there. So I'm going to try to mix it up other ways. I'm going to go Denver's defense since I just don't think New England has an offense to speak of. And then Perrine is on there. I am going to go ahead and just say that that's the lineup I'm putting in. I am. I am hoping that he gets, possibly an extra touchdown, maybe a couple extra looks or something from Wilson, especially with New England, maybe trying out just some new guys that are lower, lower on the roster. I am subbing him out and making a second lineup and going Lutz. By doing that, right now you see I'm leaving 3,500 on the field. That really lets me do quite a bit to move around. And just by adding Lutz, I still have 3,000 on the table. So here I am giving you all 2 free lineups if you're listening to the pod. But I am entering in the one that's on the screen. So don't worry, David, I won't make you edit it again. As usual,
well, then it's not like any other video. Come on, we gotta at least keep it consistent.
Good. Yeah, after talking everything through and everything, I was like, man, looking at Lutz, it could, it could be 2 50-yard field goals and then a touchdown or 2, and suddenly he beats Perrine. You know what I'm saying? So I could just definitely see that happening. I got Henry from New England. I'm praying he plays. If he doesn't, that will change up a couple things. But I think he's on the path to playing. So we got him. And then obviously Cortland Sutton, I got to line my boy Wilson up with a receiver. Who better than Sutton? And that still leaves 3,000 on the table. So that's the most I left on the table all year. Yeah, so I am going for Denver, 1 New England. If Henry is out, with Juju being out, and Stevenson still being out, that could change a couple of things where, I don't know. I'm still going to have quite a few 4-1 Denver New England lineups, but then I will be mixing it up with a couple other 3-2 3-2 Denver, possibly 3-2. We'll just have to see what happens as news drops and stuff. But yeah, this is the lineup. What are your thoughts on this one? Because I know this one's quite different than some of the last ones I've put out there.
Yeah, I'm looking over it. Yeah, it's pretty similar to what I have. I kind of veered away from the Russell Wilson at MVP just solely for the fact I think he'll be the most owned there.
No.
Just because I see him as clearly one of the better players on this slate.
Yeah,
I think the Broncos will be owned, but not as much as I think. I'm thinking it will be higher than it probably will actually be. I'm thinking like 20+%, but I think it might be like more like mid-teens. Perrine will be, he'll be owned, but he'll be, I think fairly low owned as well. I'm just more surprised like how Hunter Henry's priced so low, which is weird. That's what's obviously leaving that 3,500 on the table, because I think he should be closer to 11, 12, be
for sure
at least better than the highest receiver for sure, which would be Juju at 10.5 for them. If obviously he's the number one target, he should be priced higher, but hey, that works in our advantage for sure.
And not to interrupt you, because while we're on that subject, that like how we watch the Vegas line moved, which tells you about injuries usually or something. Notice Gesicki is only 7,000, and the fact that he's only 1,000 different than Henry, it's almost like it is a 50-50 chance if Henry plays type of deal, because it makes it real easy to just slide down to him, which would be, quite a few people out there's natural progression if they wanted to keep the tight end for for New England basically.
Yeah.
So that is interesting. But yeah. Sorry. I was gonna try to pull up a quick stat to see what Henry's salary has been over the last couple of games to see if it's been up and down. I am using my new amazing track mouse and I'm still learning. I don't want to, moving it quick and stuff. But I would be interested to see Henry's salary over the last couple games and the movement, because that might also tell us, because like you said, it sounds like that should be 10,000 at least. And that's pretty weird. It's down at 8.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, hey, I'm gonna take advantage of it. Hopefully, he obviously plays. Definitely looking. I mean, even if people reading the blurb, it says, hey, New England posts its inactive 90 minutes prior to game time. So, definitely be paying attention to that list. But yeah, no. Other than that, I think it's pretty good.
Well,
yeah, 3,500. I think it's a little bit more than I would leave or I've seen, but it still seems like a pretty viable lineup to even with that much. You do always have the option to move up from Perrine. I would definitely move up from Perrine over Henry for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, you have the option there too. That's a good, lineup. You can interchange 1 or 2 people here and there and make 3 viable tournament lineups for sure. Moving over to mine, which is eerily similar.
Let's take a look.
For the most part, the same. I went with the 4-1 onslaught of Broncos. However, I went with Sutton at MVP. Being that I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. That means Russell Wilson obviously is not going to have the points, and his receiver will probably most likely, well, in this case, hopefully, get more points than him, since like we've mentioned before in Fanduel, you really need that highest raw fantasy points to be in your MVP. I mean, you can still win without it, but I think Sutton will be definitely lower owned in the MVP slot than any, like Russell Wilson. So that I think that will be a good play there. Russell Wilson obviously to correlate with Sutton. I want Javonte Williams because if this game does get out of hand, he's going to be there to get the touches on the way up, and then maybe Perrine will get a few later on, but hopefully he gets a touchdown. So obviously I got basically the whole offense going. So if they run the ball, I'm going to be getting fantasy points. If they throw the ball, I'll be getting fantasy points. And hopefully I have a 1 in 25 chance if they catch the ball, I get fantasy points. So I don't think New England's coming to play. I threw Henry in there because I think he's the best value for where he's at, as we just mentioned, going over your lineup there. So, and then Broncos, because I think, whoever they play, if they decide to go back to Mac Jones maybe this game, or if they play Zappy, or if they have a third string that no one's even looked at and Zappy does bad. If Zappy does bad, obviously Broncos defense is benefiting from that. If a rookie Joe Schmo guy comes in, Denver's Broncos defense should be benefiting from that. So it's hard, especially for that. I'm only leaving 500 on because I'm hoping with obviously Sutton being the contrarian pick here or more contrarian pick in the MVP slot to kind of offset that while playing the 4-1 onslaught, which I think maybe might be a little bit more higher on now that I'm looking at it than normal, but usually people like to do 3-2 to kind of potentially get more, the spread of fantasy points. But yeah, I can see this kind of going one way. So
yeah, I hear you. So my honest only concern, and this is what I always do when I'm mixing up MVPs from quarterbacks to receivers at the MVP spot, but it's crazy. So if we look at every game that with Wilson and with Sutton, it's like there wasn't one game that Sutton had higher fantasy points than Wilson did almost all season from what I looked. And so it's like by having both of them, it's like a bad correlation as far as the MVP spot having him. Now, don't get me wrong, I like having, because that's his number one receiver. Now, don't get me wrong, Sutton this could be the game. This could be the game that Sutton gets 3 touchdowns and 183 yards. I mean, it happens. But if we are, just going off consistency and what we've seen throughout the year, I did a quick look down, and man, that does seem just a little extra risky. And again, that is what tournament ones are about. But I just figured I'd throw that out there as something to consider. And again, don't get me wrong, because it could be his 3 touchdown game. He could have, 9 catches, 11 targets, and 3 touchdowns this game. I mean, and it wouldn't be shocking. You know what I'm saying? He's that good of a player. So is Russell. That wouldn't, and they're at home, and it's a huge game. So that wouldn't shock me. But at the same time, I'm just saying, I'm not sure how many lineups you're making, but be careful with that. As your main part, just because the way that correlates, typically, Russell is getting, because again, Russell, even with his feet, gets some yards. He gets yards in different ways. Sometimes he runs it in as a touchdown. So just be careful with that. Other than that, though, great lineup. I like it a lot. Definitely with Sutton being up there at the MVP, that's definitely the tournament way to go. I know you feel like that might be chalky-ish, but I like you said, the Sutton where he is and everything, I think that's a great lineup. And hey, so far, basically all since we started the podcast, one of our 2 lineups have made the money, doubled their money. Yeah. So hopefully we keep that ball rolling. Yep, I like it. I think we could probably Sorry. You can.
Yeah, no,
Do,
you're
do,
going. Go
do.
ahead. No, I was just.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, and with that, I mean, like
Yeah.
you was saying, our lineups have hit. Obviously, nothing major, but winning's winning. Especially in DFS, I'll take small wins over losses for sure. So, with that, which one are you going to be entering? Because you might as well enter them both because we seem to at least be one hitting. And if you're doubling your money, right there, if you hit one, you enter two, you break even. So, yeah.
While having an opportunity to win more.
Exactly. So with that, let us know in the comments below whose entry you got. You will be entering, or do you have any comments? Questions. Would you like further explanations? Let us know. We would be more than happy to break it down further in comments or whatever, however you want to do it. And before that, we'll let David go ahead, and I know he mentioned that tournament in the beginning. You guys made it this far, so he'll go ahead and give you another opportunity here to win some money.
Yes, sir. So basically, just make sure you guys check the description. As we do every Thursday night and Sunday night, there will be a single game entry. It's more of a cash game. It's a 100-person cash game / tournament. It's free to enter, absolutely free. Enter in your lineup, and if your lineup is better than mine and is better than David's, and you take first place, I will. Typically, it's been $100 that I'd be willing to Venmo you. I bumped it up for Christmas on the last pod to 200, and man, this is as high as it's going because it is Christmas. I'm gonna go 300. So this is completely free, and enter in your lineup. It'll be in the description below. And again, at most there'll be 100 people in this. Now, the one caveat is if you do win, you must show that you like the video, you subscribe to the channel, and again, that your lineup beat mine and my cousin David's, and I will Venmo you personally $300. So we're bumping it up even more extra here for Christmas. So good luck to everybody. It's first come, first serve. It is to the public, so make sure to get your lineup in there fast.
Santa DFS. I like it. All right. Nice. Let's go ahead and get over here to wrap this things up with our predictions. Who you got? MVP, value pick, and overall game score.
Let's see. At MVP, this is tough. This might sound a little wild. I'm gonna go MVP Broncos defense. I just think New England's offense, I have no idea what to expect. Normal guys are out. Who knows who's going to be on the field and for how many snaps. I see Denver really controlling the ball. So I'm going to go Denver defense at MVP. My low-owned value pick is actually going to be Kevin Harris, the running back from New York at 6,000. I just have a gut feeling that Zeke is not going to see his normal workload. And again, that might only be by 5 snaps. That might be, a couple less targets, something like that. But the fact that last game, they went to Kevin Harris, I think they're wanting to see a little bit more out of this guy, and see what they got out of him. So at 6,000, I mean, it's pretty tough to get burned on a guy who's 6,000. So low on value will be Kevin Harris. And then as far as the overall score, I got the Broncos. I got I got Broncos 20. Man, you know what? Yeah, oh, man, I get ahead of myself. I mean, I want to say Broncos like 34. Or like, man, let's see, man. Man, let's go Broncos just because they have been all over the place this season. Let's go Broncos 24. And even that's a little bit. 24. Let's go Broncos 27. Patriots 10.
Nice. Okay, I like it. I
Yeah.
like it. So moving on, MVP for me, I think it will be. I think it's going to be, to be honest, I think it will be Javonte Williams. I think he's gonna ground and pound New England into dust. I know they're a little bit better. They are pretty stocky against the run, but I thought Dallas was stocky against the run, and James Cook lit them up for 200 plus yards. So, yeah. The Buffalo Bills lit up So, I think Javonte Williams, I think he's going to have a touchdown and 50 plus yards, and that's going to give enough to be MVP, which isn't, saying obviously a whole lot. I think the value pick, I'm going to go with Rager from New England, being at, I believe he was 6,000. I don't have it up right now.
Taking a look for you.
Rager, Jalen Rager.
55. Yeah. Yep, 5,500.
5,500 with Juju out. He's been getting more snaps. The potential to, make value is crazy good, especially like I said, if this game even hints of getting out of control, well, New England's gonna pull. Probably their starters, and he'll probably get a little bit even more snaps, and maybe even looking at the wide receiver 1-2 position if it starts getting out of hand. So there, game score: Broncos 20, New England 10. I have the under.
Nice.
On this, nothing spectacular. Nothing else really to say. I honestly want this game to be good because I want to be watching it. I'm going to be watching it. It is going to be during Christmas time, so it'll be with the family. It will be in the background for sure, but I will be on the phone monitoring the score for sure. So Christmas Eve, I should say, not Christmas, but that's what we do with the family. With that, unless you have anything else to say, we'll wrap this up and mark it as another Sunday night football breakdown for everybody.
Yeah, we're really trying to build this community here. I've been meeting a lot of people just out and about and everything. I thank all you guys for starting to subscribe to the channel. If you guys have any questions at all, I know a lot of people I've been talking to are kind of new at it or just starting to get into it. There's no question too dumb. Just know David and I love talking fantasy. Please leave it in the comments. We'd love to have discussions with you. We could talk all day long about the reasoning behind our thought process and that type of stuff. And we will be switching over to NBA soon. We are working on that.
Well, not switching over. We're going to be incorporating.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Well, yeah, we'll be. Yeah. Sorry, my bad. Not switching over. We're gonna manage to be pumping out all sorts of content, some football and some NBA. Go Kings. Even if you lose to the Boston Celtics, that's all right. But I do believe we did smoke the Phoenix Suns tonight, so that's exciting. And hey, hope everyone out there has a happy holidays. Again, please, man, we're trying to get this community built up. we just love to talk fantasy. So you guys got any questions, any comments, anything, just leave it down in the comment and let's have some conversations.
All right. And with that, take it easy. Good luck. Hopefully, see you up there on the leaderboards up there.